The title of this podcast is Playing in My Sandbox. This is inspired by something that's happened recently. And I have really tried to work on myself in a way that allows me not to be at the mercy of what my mind says, which is often not helpful unless I give it a specific job to do, but often not helpful, or it tends to cause me suffering, or something that my ego wants. And this was both that happened recently. And so most recently, I saw something on my calendar in which it just said Joy Speaker. And it was going to be a meeting that I was going to have with an enterprise leader here at Mayo Clinic. And I am often, for a little background, humbled to be asked to speak a lot about, joy and happiness and, ways to reduce stress and burnout so you can experience more joy and peacefulness. I'm often asked to do that. So, which I'm humbled by and grateful for. And I know it's because of the practice and the way that I am showing up that is helping create these opportunities for me to kind of just share a little bit about, how you might experience it. And so really, really grateful for that. So in this particular meeting, I didn't know what it was about, but I was asked to join. So I joined the meeting with this enterprise leader. And they're telling me, they're like, hey, listen, we have this about the Joy Speaker. And again, I'm thinking without even being aware that I'm going to be asked to speak at an event. And the enterprise leader is like, we have this outside speaker that's coming in and we need you to greet them at the door and just welcome them and tell them a little bit about Mayo, and then, walk them to the auditorium where they're going to be speaking and hand them off to media support services so they can take care of all the IT needs and AV and have them mic'd up and all this other stuff. And so inside, I didn't realize this was going on, like another speaker. That's what was going on inside, right? And I am noticing, and I'm telling myself, like, do not close your heart. Listen. So I am going through and asking questions. I'm able to somehow maintain presence, a slight bit of it. And I'm asking questions like, okay, what time do I need to be there? What do they need? Hey, listen, here's something that you might want to know if this is going to be a hybrid and some of it's going to be on Zoom or it's going to be Microsoft Word. I mean, not Microsoft Word, but Microsoft Teams. Like, here's the things that you need to know, or this technician may be helpful in doing that. And they're listening and we're doing all the logistics. Is there anything else I need to know? How do I contact the person in case you're leading up so I make sure I'm prepared? So I'm doing all these other things, but in the back of my mind, the echo and the voice is like somebody else is coming in to come and speak about joy. Right. So later that day, I finished the meeting, but during the meeting, I'm not my normal self. That's sprinkling kindness, that heart is wide open. Like, I think my heart is cracked open, but clearly I'm not my normal self, right? I feel a little weighted, not weighted down, but I feel a little weighted. I don't feel light. And so later that day, my friend Brian and Matt come in, and it's Brian Chunk, who's amazing, great friend to me. And he comes in and we normally get together for a workout, during the week, twice a week. So this is one of the days he's coming in. And so we always ask each other, how's your day? And it opens the door for us to talk about our well-being practice and to kind of like help us, talk about it in a way that is open for feedback in case something didn't go well in terms of we suffered or caused suffering or struggling with something. It's very, very supportive. It's not a place to where you are going to complain about how bad things are or what went wrong. It's more of a place where, like, here's what happened today. Help me get back to balance. Help me get back to seeing this in a really open and objective way. Help me get back to approaching or seeing things in a peaceful way. And so it's really, really helpful to have people help you see those blind spots. So I'm telling Brian and Matt this, and Brian just starts laughing. And Brian goes, oh, somebody playing in your sandbox. Just starts laughing. And immediately I got what it was, because at the time I didn't know it. but it was somebody else coming in to talk about joy. It's if I'm the only one that could talk about joy, right? And so, but this is what the ego does, and I didn't know what was happening. So Brian again goes, "Oh, so somebody's playing in your sandbox, right?" And for you, it may be somebody. If you are a medical provider, it may be somebody coming in to talk to you about a different way to do the procedure or different a medical device or tool to use, right? And you're like, I've been doing this forever. Like, why are we bringing somebody else to tell me about this? Or I don't care what this doctor or this practitioner is doing or what this nurse is doing. It could be that, right? Or as a parent, like, hey, did you hear that so-and-so, here's something that they're doing with their kid? What do you mean? What are they doing? Like, we're doing a great job with our family. Right? It's that whole thing. Like nobody else can be able to have something that's valuable or useful, right? So that was me. And I just started laughing because as soon as Brian said it, it gave language to what was going on because I didn't know it. And I'm so glad because I probably would have suffered with this for another few days. I would have eventually got to the other side of it thanks to the practice. And I'm not suffering to where I can't sleep at night, but it's just in the background like a low grade fever. But I know I'm not light. And so so I was like, man, Brian, thank you, because that's a thorn in my side. Like, and can you pull that out? Because now I know what it is. And of course, this is great, and my whole attitude lifted and changed. And so Brian, came over and he like put his thumb in to push the thorn in deeper. And so I walked over and said, Matt, can you pull this thorn out of my side about somebody playing in my sandbox? And then Matt reminded me of something that in this moment I lost sight of. Matt said, Keith, here's what you want. You want everybody in the world to be able to get up on that stage and give that speech about joy. And I'm like, wow, man, you're right. I want everybody to do this. I want everybody to get to a place to where they can talk about joy and not just how to go about it, but how they're living it. Like, that's what I want. And so you want a surgeon to be able to come and offer another surgeon who's doing it a different way. You want to be open to how they're doing it. It's not saying that your way is not effective. It is. It's just here's another way. Like you want as much innovation and differences. You want to welcome that. You want your team to be able to suggest it. It's a safe space for them to suggest some other practices that for you to consider. You want, as a nurse, other nurses to show you a different way of doing it, as long as it is holding up to providing the highest standard of care for our patients. As a parent, if you hear about something that another parent is doing that's different and innovative and full of all the things that help your young person feel loved, feel nurtured, and grow up to being an amazing human being, why would you not be open to that? Like, right? Because the ego won't allow you to, because you're the expert. There's no room in the sandbox for that. Like, unless you make room for it. You want everybody to be showing up that way. You want everybody to be able to be that kind of parent. You want everybody to be able to get up and help and provide certain kind of care, whatever the case to be, whatever the case is. I had a friend who there was his entrepreneur magazine many years ago, well before the practice. He would never read it. And the reason he wouldn't read it, he said, was, I won't read it until I'm on the cover. Really? Like, so you got to be the person, you got to be the person in your field. Really? Okay. That's one way to go through life. Or it could be like, how do I help everybody have an opportunity to be on that magazine in a way that really helps everybody? That becomes a different kind of way of living and interacting with people, to where you don't see them as threats. You don't see them as diminishing this concept of yourself that you have become so identified with, it that's rooted in ego. Instead, you're reminded that I'm a servant. And there's so much room in this sandbox to play in. Come on in, bring joy with you. Oh, that's how you practice joy? Thank you. This is amazing. And so that brings me back to how, when I got on the other side of this, I said, oh my God, I cannot wait to meet this speaker who's coming in and to talk to my team about them coming in, because I just want to serve. And what a compliment that they thought that I would be the great person to greet them and meet them and introduce them to Mayo. But the ego almost made me miss that, of how it was an honor to be asked. to do that, to serve in this way. Just wonderful. So I say all this to say, let everybody play in your sandbox. Let them do it. The more, the merrier. So if there's a doctor at another hospital that's doing something, it's not a competition about what you're doing versus them. If there's another parent down the street doing something, another coach that's doing something, you just here to learn. You want to serve, like more people doing it. Like the more, the merrier. Let's do it together. I mean, you say you care about your kid being an amazing human being, then let others contribute to them, even if they look different than you. I mean, the contribution, if it's valuable and if it's going to help your kid, why do you care? You know, who the source is. You welcome everybody. When it comes to patient care in the business that we're in at Mayo Clinic, my God, they're doing something else over there that's innovative at Banner or at Phoenix Children's Hospital or at the Cancer Center of America. Like, absolutely. Like, let's learn from you. Let's do this. And because there's so much room in this sandbox, and can I play in yours? So that's the practice. And so this is a valuable lesson. And I wouldn't have gotten there as fast as I did if it wasn't for my friends. Man, the circle of friends, I'm telling you, my friend Matt said it, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And my friends lift my average all the time. And hopefully I'm doing the same with them. Before, I pulled down averages. Now, when it came to what I was doing in terms of like working on a project and being task oriented and, goal focused, I was great for that kind of stuff. But bringing a positive, kind energy while doing that kind of work, I brought down the average all the time. Now what I do, hopefully I'm lifting it. Hopefully I'm being a contribution to that space. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Matt.